Are you thinking of moving to Baton Rouge? Well, if so, you are in luck because in today's video, I'm going to be going over the pros and cons of living in Baton Rouge. Hi, my name is Shawn. I'm a realtor here in the greater Baton Rouge area, and on this channel, I love to talk about the city of Baton Rouge. So whether you're a local Baton Rougean, somebody looking to visit, or maybe somebody looking to make the move to the greater Baton Rouge area, I would love to help you with any and all of your real estate needs. For the first con, Baton Rouge does not have a strong public transportation system. Our main transportation system here in Baton Rouge is CATS, which is the Capital Area Transit System. Baton Rouge is not a very walkable city. Most of the city is pretty sprawled out. So if you do not have a car and you're depending on the CATS system, it's going to be a little difficult. So if you're moving from an area where it's very walkable or they have a public transit system like a subway, Baton Rouge does not have that. So it is very wise to get a car if you're going to be moving to Baton Rouge. Now, something to keep in mind is that CATS is making efforts to fix these issues, but it's just not there yet. For the number 2 con, and this is a con to some people, not everybody, but Baton Rouge lacks a big city feel. So what do I mean by big city feel? I mean, it doesn't feel like Los Angeles. It doesn't feel like New York City, Chicago. Baton Rouge is a much smaller city. It has a smaller downtown area, and there's a lot more just suburbs in the area. The nightlife here in Baton Rouge isn't crazy. We're not sprawling with celebrities. For the most part, things move a lot slower in Baton Rouge. Now, with that said, Baton Rouge is a mid-sized city. We have over 200,000 people that live in the city of Baton Rouge and a little bit over 800,000 people that live in the greater Baton Rouge area. But if you're living in Louisiana and you're looking to have a place with a big city feel, New Orleans would definitely be the place for you. But if you can't live in New Orleans, then Baton Rouge would definitely be the second option. The third con of living in Baton Rouge is crime. Baton Rouge, like many other mid to large size cities, has its bouts with crime. If you type in Baton Rouge on Google under the news section, you are more than likely going to see lots and lots of articles of different things with crime in the city. When living in a larger city, and this is the second largest city here in Louisiana, you are more than likely going to see more crime here versus a city with a smaller population. It's like anywhere, always be aware of your surroundings and definitely take your precautions and you should be fine. For the fourth con of living in Baton Rouge is traffic. It is no secret that Baton Rouge has its issues with traffic, especially for a small mid-sized city. Our traffic just happens to be worse than normal. Now, the traffic situation can depend on where you're living in Baton Rouge and what time you need to be at certain places. A ton of people live in the outer areas of Baton Rouge and commute to Baton Rouge for work. And if you're one of those people, the traffic situation can get pretty bad. If you live in Baton Rouge and you commute to the suburbs for work, like Denham Springs, Prairieville, Zachary, etc., then the traffic situation is not nearly as severe. Basically, the longer you live here in the city, the better accustomed you're going to get to any back roads, and you're going to find a way to make it work. For the fifth con of living here in Baton Rouge is, of course, we have floods and hurricanes. Now, this problem isn't specific to Baton Rouge in general. This is more so Southeast Louisiana. But of course, we deal with it here in Baton Rouge. Now, I will say, and this is very important, we do not deal with it as severely as they do in New Orleans, for example, or even Slidell. Baton Rouge deals with much less flooding, but, and this is a big but, we do have certain parts of Baton Rouge that do flood pretty regularly. If you're concerned about moving to an area that's more flood prone, definitely check the LSU flood maps and also check the FEMA flood maps just to confirm everything and see if your area or your property is going to be in a high risk flood zone. And on top of that, I would definitely talk to your neighbors because your neighbors are going to know more information about what to do in that specific neighborhood and what you could possibly expect. All right, so I am done with the cons. Let's get to the pros because we have some amazing pros. For the first pro of living in Baton Rouge, and this is a really big one for me, is that we have a very strong community here and we have a strong culture in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge has a very strong and rich history with lots of influence of Spanish and French cultures. We're also in between two major cities here in Louisiana with New Orleans and Lafayette, so we get the best of both worlds with Cajun and Creole culture as well. We don't have a major sports team here like the New Orleans Saints by any means, but we do have two strong colleges here, LSU and Southern, and we bond over these things hard. For our second pro of living here in Baton Rouge, and this one's major, this one's a big deal, especially for me, but it's our incredible food. In my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, just Louisiana in general just has some of the best food, or I would say the best food in the country. And really, our food is a major part of our culture. It's something we bond over as well. Now, to reiterate a past point, we are in the middle of Creole and Cajun country here in Baton Rouge. So as far as food goes, we also get the best of both worlds in that scenario too. We also have a very strong Vietnamese population here in Baton Rouge. So we have lots of authentic Vietnamese food here in the city. Now, for the third pro of living here in Baton Rouge, we have opportunity. If you're looking to move here to the greater Baton Rouge area, we do have some industries that are very prominent. Most notably, Louisiana's oil and gas industry is very strong. We have ExxonMobil's refinery, which is the 5th largest refinery in the country. We also have some very strong hospitals here in Baton Rouge with Our Lady of the Lake, Ochsner, and Baton Rouge General. There are other industries that are growing in the Baton Rouge area, like our tech and film industry. A lot of major films were filmed here in Baton Rouge, like Pitch Perfect, Twilight films, 22 Jump Street, Dallas Buyers Club, and a ton more. For the fourth pro of living here in Baton Rouge, we have our lower cost of living. Baton Rouge has a lower cost of living versus the rest of the United States. On average, our home prices are lower, our rent is lower, and our utilities are lower. Now, compared to the rest of the state, Baton Rouge does cost more to live here than the other cities in Louisiana. For May of 2023, the median sales price in Baton Rouge was $260,000. Now, compare that to the median sales price in the United States of $416,000. This is a significant difference. I've had people reach out to me about moving here to Baton Rouge, and they are just blown away with what you can get for the price. Always nice to afford a nicer home and live a little bit easier. And for my fifth pro of living here in Baton Rouge, we have the events. Baton Rouge is always celebrating something, and there are a ton of events throughout the year. Many of the events in Baton Rouge do center around things like Mardi Gras, music, history, and football. Baton Rouge celebrates Mardi Gras in February, and if you're looking to move here to Baton Rouge and you got to go to one parade, I'd highly recommend going to the Spanish Town Parade. During football season in the fall, LSU football and Southern football is running rampant. Whether it's attending the actual games or even just tailgating, the energy in the city is just huge. We also have many festivals that happen around the year as well. Baton Rouge Blues Festival, the 225 Fest. We also have Live After 5 and the Soul Food Festival, Festival of Lights, and the Cap City Beer Festival, and more. Well, y'all, those were my top pros and cons of moving here to Baton Rouge. If you found something valuable or you liked the video, feel free to give a like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.